Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Carolyn, your host, and welcome to another awesome edition of Weekly Minis. As you know, each week we deliver a bite-sized workshop on hot acro-related topics. Now, you can reference all of the previous Weekly Mini topics and more amazing content, tips, and ideas on our Acrobatic Arts channel on YouTube. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I'll put a link during the presentation in the comments for you so you can get where you need to go. Speaking of the comment section, if you have any questions while you're live, please drop them in there and we'll do our best to share. Well, we'll do our best to share the answers and address those questions at the end of the presentation. Now, if you know somebody who this topic could help or would be interested in knowing more, be a friend, click the share button now, let them know we're live or the recording so that they can benefit from this information as well. On to today's topic. I am so excited to be presenting Meaghan Wegg once again to present her expertise. Today it is about handstand progressions for beginners. Meaghan is amazing. She has studied aerial hoop and contortion at the National Circus School in Montreal. Also, she was a featured artist performing around the world with Cirque du Soleil and the Seven Fingers. She is the Australia, New Zealand, and Asian division manager for acrobatic arts and loves sharing her knowledge and positivity with us. We are so fortunate to have her here with us. Good morning, Meaghan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here again today. What are you going to tell us about? What's the topic?
So actually the topic is headstand progressions for beginners. You had said handstand progressions for beginners.
Thank you for correcting me.
I can also do that, but I would like to do the headstand one today.
I think that's a great idea. We will do the headstand progressions in the new year. All right. Handstand. I'm going to stop talking so that you can tell people more about headstand progressions, and I won't interrupt the flow of this any further. It's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. So good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my dance studio. I'm excited to talk about the topic of headstands. A lot of our students and even us have sensitive heads and or don't understand the proper alignment of where to go. So I was excited to just talk about the basics of bringing this forward. I recently have added 5 different tiers of elite competitive teams in my own studio, and the beginners, the really beginners, ages 4 to 7, they're all totally fine with headstands, but the ones who are age 7 up to 10 or 12, they're the ones who I hear ouch a lot with on the head, or just they wobble and they're not sure how to do that correct alignment and placement to find their balance. So I'm going to introduce you to my demonstrator for today. His name is Nathan, and he's on one of my high-level teams. Thank you for coming, Nathan. First, I'm going to start with stability. Stability is a different type of warm-up where we have a focus point on what we're doing. So today we're focusing on headstands, and I'm going to break down different types of stability exercises so we can get into the minds of our students how to put a focus on what we're doing. So if you saw my weekly mini a few weeks ago, I stabilized the neck in our double chin head lift. Nathan, can you just demonstrate that quickly so we can review? You're laying on your back, your knees are bent in, your hands are pushed into the floor. Create a double chin and then hover up to the sky and then relax. And that activates the neck right here to stabilize everything around that you're about to do. Now show me incorrect technique where you just use your abs to look up at your knees. So that's not stabilizing because nothing's working here. So go back to one more correct technique, double chin and hover up. Nice. And down. Thank you. So that I wanted to touch that. I do that for a lot of different types of exercises. So this can also help for headstands. Next one, for neck stability, Nathan, go on all 4s facing sideways. And again, I want you guys to introduce stacking just on the all 4s. So see how his hips are on top of his knees. Now, Nathan, can you go not correct and just a bit off stacking? So this is how some people will be. See how the shoulders are not on top of his wrist. Move your shoulders forward, and then you're stacked there, and then you're stacked there as well. Okay. Now, Nathan, keep your body nice and stacked, but relax your head all the way down. Okay, so now what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to ask you to activate your neck by creating a double chin from there and then lifting all the way up and holding it. And then coming back to neutral, and do that again. Relax, double chin, and hold, and then neutral. Good. Okay, you can relax, Nathan. So just see what he was doing. He was going all the way to relax and to bring his head up, creating that C curve double chin, bringing it up, really engaging these muscles here. That's another way of stabilizing the neck. That's a bit more simple than the one on the ground. The one on the ground that he did first takes people a bit more to understand how to do. Okay, we're going to stabilize our arms now that we need to work for the headstand. So go on all fours, please, Nathan, and make sure you're stacked. I'm going to do two versions. One of them is a bicep work, and one of them is a tricep work. Nathan, start with a bicep, head touch to the ground. And back up. And again. And back up. Good. Now, do a tricep head touch. So this one is more focused. It's a bit more difficult on the correct alignment for progressing forward into our acro skills. And one more. Good. So notice how he's really using his hands into the ground and using a counterbalance just to be able to go and put his head on the ground. So we want to make sure our dancers have enough muscle in their arms to push into the ground. And even not making sure they have enough muscle, but understanding the resistance that's needed to stabilize for that actual skill. Okay, next we're going to go with our placement with hands on our knees and hollow. I noticed a lot of incorrect technique when I'm teaching for the first time. So I want to really let you know my favorite way of getting into the hand placement. So go on your knees and place the groove of your wrist and thumb in parallel next to your knees. Now, just for fun, show me a gorgeous hollow position here. Push and relax, and hollow push and relax. Now make sure you're putting lots of weight on your hands and hollow push. There we go. Okay, so this is just implicating where the hands need to go. So then what our next progression is, finding your tripod. So Nathan, visualize, notice how his eyes are looking at like a triangle right there, and then his hands are the other side. So show me where you would put your head for your tripod. Good, and come back up. Now, incorrect technique, Nathan, if you could just show me hands and head in line. That is very, I don't want to say very dangerous, but you don't have a center of balance with your triangle to be able to stabilize. So the majority of students who do it that way will fall over, and we want to avoid that. So show me your hand placement, groove into your knees, hollow position, just so you get that focus, then go down to your tripod. Now, next from there, flex your feet and lift your hips up. And this is our downward dog on our head. And what I would just simply do here is hold it for a set time and then come down. And we're saying hello to the head being placed on the ground with half your body weight. Okay, so now let's do that again. Flex your feet, lift up. Let's say we did a few exercises. Next, let's do 2 battements on each leg, but really low. We don't need to do needles or anything. And 1 and 2, and other side, 1 and 2, and then come down. We want to introduce things slowly so they don't hate the headstand right from the start. We don't want to put fear. We want to give them an inspiration of how cool the skill is. So what we did there is, it's kind of like a 3-point balance, but it's a 4-point balance instead of a 5. Head, 2 hands, and then 1 leg at a time. So then more weight, very slightly, is getting put on the head. And then they're knowing we only have to do 2 battements, that they're almost done off the head, just in case the head hurts too much. Next after that is stacking. So another station of stacking. So this time I'm going to get Nathan to show how his hips need to be on top of his shoulders. So flex up and take a few steps. There we go. And then come back. Okay, so hand placement, tripod, downward dog, and stack. And then we're ready for our teddy bear stand. One knee, because your knees are right there. One knee, and hold. And down. Thank you. Now, he's been doing a lot of headstands. What I would naturally do in class is say, do a few no's with your head, and then do a few yeses, but really big yeses. And then even elongate and do a chest lift up, and then down, and then hunch, hunch, hunch. And you can press forward this way as well. There's lots of different neck stretches we could share as well. So progressing from the teddy bear stand would be hold it for 5 seconds, and then practice lifting one knee up, down, one knee up, down. So your hand, your weight gets used to pushing into the ground. And then going into tuck and straight legs, and then practicing without feeling like they're going to have a fear of falling. What you could also do is do this close to a wall so that it's there. If ever their legs are up, it stops them from falling over. So Nathan, can you go in? Let's do the whole set again. Start on your knees. Show me your hand placement, then show me just a hollow just to put weight onto the ground, and then relax. Then do your triangle position, flex your feet, and stack. Go to downward dog, stack. Now, knee on your tricep, knee on your tricep. Now from here, can you lift one knee up to tuck and then down, and one knee up to tuck? That's even a cool photo. And down. Then press up to a tuck and hold that. And press up to straight legs. And down. Good. It is normal that if you press up and you accidentally arch, a little wave could happen. We don't want that to happen. So you always want to think, if you're looking at your feet, you should always be able to see your feet and then go into a straight line. Don't arch and then go, unless you're trying to do many different shapes. So let's go now into many different shapes. Let's do some variations. Why don't you face back to us and put your head down. Why don't you straddle press? So pressing in and guiding through a straddle, and just hold that straddle and then go up to straight. Then do a twisted tuck. So twist your torso and just tuck both knees down. And then twist back up. And now show me a diamond. And one leg straddle. I like to call this a lightning bolt. And the other leg straddle. And then why don't you cross your legs? And a double stag. And do a twisted double stag. Why don't you add a back arch in there because it's nice. Nice. And flex your feet. Point. And now let's dance our straddle. Straddle, pull from the knee and tilt, pull from the knee, tilt. There's our waves. Very pretty. Good. And then you can come down. So that was probably 20 seconds and he's taking a big breath. So that's definitely high level headstand balancing. But once you have all the foundations and the proper progressions to get there, your hands, your arms, your shoulder girdle, your neck, and your head is all protected and feeling safe. Cool. So I think that's everything. I want to show you a head cartwheel. I love head cartwheels. So just working through your head balance, adding more variations. So why don't you show us, Nathan? We'll go through a straddle. Good, thank you. And so only once you understand the tripod and the whole biomechanics of the headstand itself, you can flow through it with dance choreography. Okay, I think that's it, Caroline.
Awesome. Thank you. That's so cool, Nathan. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your skills with us. You're the best demonstrator. So really accessible and confidence building progressions and variations. I just wanted to put this out there while we're chatting. If anybody has any questions, and I think there's a couple, they can put them in the comments and we will address those just in a second here. I wonder, Meaghan, what's the biggest, I don't want to say mistake, but if there's, maybe it is the biggest mistake teachers make with headstand progressions? Anything you wish that everybody would just know? There's one simple thing they could just take away in building that with their students.
I would say corrections, correct them each step of the way. I feel teachers may just let them try it, go with the flow, but be there, be anal, be like, nope, put your hands here. You have to have that tripod. I feel like the tripod is probably the biggest misunderstanding or mistake that could happen. So teachers correct your students too much so that they get it drilled into their hands, into their head, how to hold that headstand.
Right. Start now so that progressively they've got the skills, the strength, and the safety to achieve what's next.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so some questions for you. Alejandra from Mexico asks, headstand should be introduced before handstand?
So I think everything should be introduced right at the beginning. But yes, to understand the tiniest little posture with your bent arms, handstand is a full straight arm. Understand stacking with the whole body is a lot more to take in. So starting with just the basic counterweight on your tripod is very important for a beginner tool.
Okay, great. It says, and I'll read this to you, so just bear with me. I've seen other teachers teaching another position of the arms as in yoga, like forming a triangle around your head. Is that okay for AcroDance students?
So choreographically and for a certain style, it's totally fine because your neck is still in line and it's safe. But what acrobatic art syllabus uses the tripod for is because we progress into skills that push into a handstand, and you could push down in our skills when we need 3 inverted balances at once. Having this technique is going to allow you to do that. Having this technique, your hands are going to be clasped, or here you could press up into an elbow stand. It just takes you to different places. So I would still train many variations instead of focusing on one so that all your muscles are getting worked.
Awesome. Okay. Jennifer asks, you mentioned ages 4 to 7 is the youngest you would start. What must this age group be able to do before progressing?
Great catch. I didn't say that's the youngest they would start. I said that's my youngest elite team members. But with that age, the thing is, here at my studio, they're gung-ho. They do too much and I have to hold them back. They're like, look what I can do. So I try to play fun games with wall push-ups or stabilizing, hands on the ground, up, up, down, down with your feet and on all fours. How many times can you touch your head on the ground for those knee push-ups to understand? It's just making sure that you can see that they're stable and understand the resistance that's needed for their head placement. A lot of them at that age still don't even understand the difference between doing a forward roll and tucking their head to get it to the back so it doesn't clump and then back flop. So it's just being very tedious with the ball pose, the tuck pose, and those postures. Those also are correct postures for the headstand if you just put it upside down, if that answers that question.
I think so. We're always so grateful to have you on Weekly Mini. It's just so much great content and information, creates a resource for our teachers to come back to over and over again. And I don't think there's any more questions for today, but people should know that if they ever have any questions for acrobatic arts, they just have to reach out in our certified group or here on the website, and we'll get back to them with the information that they need or direct them to the resources. Now, speaking of resources, you are an incredible resource, as we've mentioned. You are also, I believe, the brainchild behind Acrobatic Arts's aerial arts, and you have some courses coming up in the new year, specifically around hoop. And I'm just trying to find my notes. Do you want to talk about that? You have a hoop practical coming up in Australia on January 7th and an online, so wherever you are, theory course on January 3rd and 4th. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the online course is to train everyone's eye to say hello for the first time or upgrade or just hear it from a different eye, all about what the hoop can offer. And we cover hanging technique for strength, spinning technique, the fundamentals of getting on and off the hoop. And just for safety, it's a huge aspect because we talk about insurance, we talk about rigging, we talk about engineering, and we never ever go higher than hanging wrist height. So it's 2 days, it's 3.5 hours each day. And the online hoop theory, I think it's a fantastic course. The inspiration behind it was to keep a safe standard across the world. Because we had a lot of people watching YouTube and thinking they could just hang their hoop wherever without thinking about your life is literally on the line, hanging on a hoop. We're just educating those to be able to do the awesomeness of aerial hoop. So yeah, come and join me. I'm teaching the one live online, the 3rd and 4th of January.
Okay, great. I've put the links to that inside the comment section here, but you can also find that information. Make sure those links work when we get off the air, but that information is also on our website, up and ready to go. The information is there that details more of what Meaghan was talking about in regards to these courses. But truly, what a great resource, an opportunity to learn from an expert about something, like you said, that is completely, it's so people want to be able to do it, and so they're accessing information that may not be the safest and best for them, but they can come to your course in an accessible online way where they're at and learn what they need to know to take them to that next step. So with that, there are no further questions, but many people saying thank you, Meaghan. It was really helpful information. So just so you know, you're wondering, you did answer their questions, and I'm very excited with what you brought to them. So thank you again to you and to Nathan. Thank you, teachers, for joining us again for this weekly mini. You can learn more about acrobatic arts and our programs at acrobaticarts.com. Join us next week for our session about setting up an acro camp with special guest Wendy Holmquist. We're out. We'll see you next week. Have a great time. And thank you again, Meaghan. See you, everyone.